And we're actually going to start our class today on our backs. So let yourself ground down from your tailbone up the back to the shoulders and the head. Decide how you want your legs to be positioned. It might feel nice to extend the legs and just pretend that you're coming into Shavasana. We won't be here quite as long as we are in relaxation at the end of class, but we are going to give ourselves time in this position to transition from our day to our practice. Just noticing how your body feels in this restful position. And take time to notice your breath. So just bringing all of your attention to deepening the inhalations. And exhale, releasing. And now maybe practicing matching the length of the exhale to the inhale. So sometimes we tend to have shorter exhalations. So you can practice with a count. At the start of your next inhale, just count 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you're ready to exhale, count from 4, 3, 2, back to 1. And we'll do that again. You can count out loud if you want to. The microphones are muted. As you start to count up with the inhalation, notice that you might get up to the number 5 or 6, maybe even higher. Whatever number you arrive at, just count from that number back down to 1 or 0. And take several rounds, really making this breath connection. And starting our practice with our pranayama, this life force energy. And also taking this time to notice if you have a particular intention for yourself. If there's anything you want to focus on during our class this evening, just simply notice what's coming up for you. Continue to connect with your breath. Deep inhale all the way to the top of the breath. Exhale, release, let it go. Now, if your legs are extended, bend your knees. Bring the soles of your feet to the mat. And then lift your feet. Take your hands to your shins. Bring the knees together. Just gently rock from side to side and feel a press on the outer hips. So just tuning in, noticing if you feel tightness or tension. And then find your way to stillness. Draw circles with the big toes. We are going to be coming into standing positions, so we want to make sure that our ankles and our feet are ready. And then we'll circle around opposite direction. Now that we've tuned into our breath work, you can turn your music on, you can turn your playlist on, whatever point you'd like, whenever you're ready. Or you can practice without music. This is up to you. Now we'll release the hands from the shins and we'll open the arms out to the side. So we're stacking the knees above the hips and the ankles are in line with the knees. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, send both knees over to the left. Keep the right shoulder down. Spinal twist. Inhale, lift the knees up. Exhale, take the knees over to the right. Keep the left shoulder down. Continue to move with your breath. Each exhale sends the knees to the opposite direction. We're just feeling into the back space, taking the spinal twisting as an opportunity to detoxify. Back to center. And let the soles of the feet float down to the mat. Now we're going to work on one side at a time. So we'll lift the right foot, bring the ankle to the left thigh. Lift the left foot. So we're setting up for a reclined figure four. Lifting the right arm, take the right hand between the legs, left hand around the outside of the left thigh. Interlace your fingers and then pull the left thigh towards your body. Feel the stretch deepen at the right hip and notice that you can determine how much intensity for your stretch by pulling the thigh closer to the body. If your hips are pretty open and you need to go deeper, you can use your right elbow to send the right thigh away as you continue to pull the left thigh towards your body. Continue to lengthen the breath. We'll gently release the hands, cross the right knee over the left, and then reach your arms forward. So you want your left hand to reach for the pinky side of your foot and the right hand to reach for the pinky side of the left foot. Now, if you can't reach the feet, don't worry. Take your hands to the ankles or maybe the low legs. So just reaching where you can, pull the legs in, continue to stretch at the right hip, but now in a slightly different place. On your next exhale, gently release the hands, let the arms rest, unwind the legs, bring both feet down to the mat. Take a full round of breath. And as you exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Lift the left foot, bring the left ankle to the thigh. Lift the right foot. So now coming into our reclined figure four on the other side, take the left hand between the legs, bring the right hand around the outside of the right thigh. Interlace the fingers, pull the thigh towards the body. Now this hip might be totally different. So you're just finding the level of intensity that you need to feel a deep stretch. If you feel pain, then you've gone a little too far. So just check in with yourself. Remember, the more you pull the thigh towards the body, the deeper you'll intensify that stretch. And to go even deeper, that left elbow can push the left thigh away as you continue to pull the right thigh towards you. And coming into our practice by saying hello to our hips. And really honoring releasing tension from the hips today. Gently release the hands. Cross the left knee over the right and then reach your hands to your feet or your ankles or your low legs. And then just pull the legs in towards the body. You might even feel this in the IT band. You might even close your eyes and just bring awareness to where you're feeling the sensation in your physical body. From here, we'll release the feet, unwind the legs, let the feet hover. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, open your mouth, sigh of relief. Bring your hands underneath your knees. Now, lift your tailbone and rock up and down the spine. Your choice if you want to take a few rocks to come onto your seat, or if you prefer, you can roll over onto one side. So we're coming into a seated position now. And in our seated position, we're going to continue with our hip opening theme for today. So to start off, position one leg in front of the other. So if you've got one foot on top of the other, you'll feel bone on bone, and that's not going to be very comfortable. So bring one foot in front. If that's a lot for your knees, you can widen the distance to open up the angle at the knees. So what we're doing is we're setting up for a seated forward fold. So the fingertips come in front of the legs, walk the hands forward, and as you exhale, you're gonna lower down. So you wanna keep the hips connected. The more you lower down, the more you're gonna feel into the back space. You should be feeling a stretch at the hip of the leg that you have in front of you. Two more rounds of breath. And then on an inhale breath, we'll lift the head. Take your time, exhale, walk your hands towards your body. Now we're gonna do that by switching the legs up, but before we do, let's come into the next space. So just leave your legs how they are. Let your palms rest on your thighs. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Now let's just pause here. You might be feeling sensation at the back of the neck, maybe going into the shoulders, the upper back space. We know this is an area where a lot of stress and tension gets stored. So we're just gonna take inventory of where we are today in this space. We've got the option to stay here, or we can start to move our head to one side. So maybe bringing the left ear above the left shoulder. And then as you exhale, it's chin to chest, and then move over to the other side. Inhale, take your head over to the left. Exhale, take it to the right. And as you move from side to side, close your eyes. Tune in to how the neck feels with the movement. If one side of your neck feels tighter than the other, you can pause there. Give yourself time to breathe into it longer. Let the tension go. And then take it to the other side when you're ready. Eventually find your way back to center. And then inhale, lifts the head up. Now coming into the other side, coming into the other hip. The foot and the leg that's behind, we're now gonna take it in front. That's all we're gonna do is just switch up which leg is in front and which one's behind. Open up the legs as much as you need to. And then take the fingertips in front. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, walk the hands forward and fold. Take your time to come into the fold. Make sure the hips stay grounded. Feel into this hip. By now you'll know which hip is tighter than the other. No judgment, just noticing where the body is today. With each exhale, folding a little deeper if that's available. And on the next inhale, we'll lift the head. Exhale, walk the hands towards the body. So from our seated position, we're going to transition to kneeling. We're going to continue to work with the hips in our kneeling position. This is a point now in your practice where if your knees are sensitive, if you have any limitations, if you've had knee surgeries, it'll be good for you to invite a blanket or a pillow or something onto the mat to support the knees. Because once you come into tabletop position, depending on the surface that you're on and depending on how thick your mat is, that'll let you know if you need a prop or not. So to set up, coming into neutral tabletop, spread the fingers wide. Bones are stacked in the arms. Knees are under the hips. Look between the knees. Make sure you can't see your feet. And then inhale with the belly lower. Exhale, lift the back. We'll just take a few rounds of our kneeling cat-cow. Inhale, belly lowers. Exhale, lift the back, working on spinal mobility. We'll take one more round. Back to a neutral tabletop position. Now in this neutral tabletop position, look at your hands, walk them one hand placement in front. Curl your toes, lift your hips. We are going to come back into kneeling so you can leave your prop there if you're working with it. But just come into your first down dog, check in, see how your legs feel. As you come into your down dog, think about lifting the hips and sending them way up high and then back. Fingers are spread. Think about sending the chest towards the thighs. And think about sending the heels down to the mat. Now, if the hamstrings are tight, bend your knees. That's going to be more comfortable. You can also take the option where you bend one knee and straighten the opposite leg. If you're taking that option, as you straighten your leg, you'll feel a nice stretch going up the leg into the hip. So just give yourself time to move from side to side. Now, if you have any shoulder issues today, or you're just not really feeling down dog, you can come into child's pose anytime I call for down dog. So know that you've got options. This is your practice. You decide what you want to do in your practice with your body today. So we'll meet in down dog, legs are straight or micro bend in the knees. On your next inhale, lift and lengthen that left leg for three-legged dog. And then as you exhale, bend the knee, step the left foot outside of the left hand. Now lower the right knee down. So we're setting up for our lizard lunge. In the lizard lunge, the arms can stay straight, just like they are in tabletop. But check and make sure that your left knee is above your left ankle. Now from here, you can come onto your forearms. If your forearms are almost to the mat, but not quite, know that you can invite your blocks under your forearms to make that connection. This way you don't have your forearms hovering. So find your option there. And if you're ready to take it a little more advanced, you can curl the right toes and come off the right knee. Now, if the right knee is lifted, think about keeping a bend in the left knee and think about pressing that right heel back. If your right knee is lifted, go ahead and lower it down. If your forearms are down, press your palms to the mat. Now look at your hands. Uncurl the back toes. Slide your left hand behind your left heel. So the space between your left thumb and your left index finger is going to hug your heel. Your palm is on the mat, arm is straight. Now look at your right hand. Lift it, reach it to the right top corner of your mat. And then distribute the weight of your torso between your two straight arms. So the trick in this side body opener is to keep the arms straight. Now on your next exhale, when you're ready, lean your right hip down to the right side of the mat. Feel the side body opening up. You might feel like your right ear is going to tap your right shoulder. The more you lower the hip, the deeper you're going to feel the stretch, really getting into the intercostal muscles between the ribs. Lift the torso, bring it to center. Take the left hand to the inside of the left foot. Bring the right hand in line with the left. Now, really press that right hand down to the mat, curl the right toes, come off the right knee. As you inhale, lift your left hand, reach your left fingers up to the sky, twisting to the left. And as you exhale, take the left hand back down to the mat. Step the left foot back. So now we're in a plank position. From plank position, we can go to down dog or child's pose, or we can take an optional vinyasa. So take time to take the option of your choice at this point in your practice, and we'll meet at downward facing dog. Find your alignment once you get to downward facing dog. And then on the next inhale, lift and lengthen that right leg, toes to the sky, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, bring the knee outside of the arm, step the right foot outside of the right hand. Now setting up for our lizard lunge on this side, lower the left knee to start. Notice how it feels to have the arms straight. Check and make sure that the right knee is above the right ankle. And then decide if you want to come onto your forearms. If so, position the elbows in line with the arch of the foot. Remember, you can use your blocks if you need to. And if you want to go even deeper, you can curl those right toes and come off the right knee. You've got options here. Maybe you press the left heel back as you keep the right knee above the right ankle. And preparing to transition, lower that left knee down gently back to the mat. If you're on your forearms, press palms to the mat. Uncurl the left toes. Look at your right hand. Slide it back so that the space between your right thumb and your right index finger is hugging your right heel. And then look at your left hand. Pick it up and walk it to the left top corner of your mat. Now both arms are straight. Shift the torso between the two arms. Keeping the arms straight, slowly lower the left hip towards the left side of the mat. As you slowly lower it down, feel the stretch deepening between the ribs, in the side body, down to the hip. Now check in on your breath. Notice if there's space to lengthen the breath. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. As you exhale, maybe sinking down a little deeper. Now press into that left hand, bring the torso to center. Take the right hand in line with the right foot. Left hand in line with the right. From here, curl the left toes, come off the left knee. Press that left hand into the mat. And as you inhale, lift the right hand, twist to the right, reach the right fingers up to the sky. And then exhale, take the right hand down to the mat. Step the right foot back, come into plank position. Decide if you want to move through a vinyasa or if you want to come straight into downward facing dog. This is totally up to you. Once you come into down dog, know that you also have the option of coming into child's pose. Take a couple more rounds of breath. And then walk your hands towards your feet. Now, as you walk your hands towards your feet, slide your hands up the shins, pause for a half lift. See about straightening the legs. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. As you come into your standing forward fold, remember you can bend the knees if the hamstrings are tight. The arms can dangle or your hands can find opposite elbows, framing your head with your arms, finding more traction for the spine. Release the head and the neck. Let the top of the head dangle down to the mat. Breathe and hold here. Give yourself time to decompress the spine. Give yourself time to lengthen the breath. Now, if your hands are grabbing onto your elbows, release. Walk the hands forward, taking the hands to the top of the mat. Back to down dog. And then from here, back into tabletop. Back into some deeper hip stretches. Now the hips are ready. So first we're going to start off by lifting the left knee up and out to the left. Exhale, knee towards the mat without touching. Inhale, lift again. Exhale, lower. One more time. This time as you lower your knee, press your heel back. Take a big circle and then 2 more in this direction. After you've taken 3 circles in this direction, circle around opposite direction 3 times. And then set that left knee down. Take a full round of breath here. Exhale, let it go. Other side, inhale, lift the right knee up and out to the right. Exhale, knee to the mat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, lift as high as you can. Exhale, lower. Press the heel back. Take a big circle, and then 2 more in this direction. Now, after you've taken 3 circles, circle around opposite direction. And then bring that right knee down. Take a full round of breath here. Exhale, let it go. Now look to your knees. Bring your knees together. Bring your feet together. We're going to take our walking hip movement for internal rotation. I recommend as you do this to lift your back. That's going to give you more space to bring your legs through. So lifting your back, lift your right leg, bring your right knee forward, and then cross the right knee in front of the left. Walk the hands forward. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Lift the left leg, arch the back, bring the leg through, cross it in front. Continue this movement, walking the hands forward, all the way until your knees make it to the top of the mat. Now, if this is your first time doing this, it might feel a little awkward. That's okay. Take your time, go at your pace. Once your knees make it to the top of the mat, we're going to flip it and reverse it. We're going to go backwards. Now, some people prefer going backwards. Some people prefer going forward. Just depends on your body. Notice how the hips feel as you take this movement. Continue to give the hips attention and move at your pace. Once you get to the back of the mat, bring the knees back to the middle of the mat, where you started. And we're all gonna meet together with the right knee crossed in front of the left. Once the right knee is in front of the left, open the feet out to the sides. Now you might want to take a block or two with you. From here, we're going to walk the hands back and explore coming onto our seat. Now I know that that's not going to be available for everybody, and that's okay. This is why the props are so great, because whether it's a block or a pillow or a blanket, we can lift ourselves up higher, and that's going to be more comfortable. You want to make sure that you're not sitting on your feet, and then maybe you just stay upright if you already feel sensation. If you want more sensation and your body's ready for that, then you can just lean forward. Think about hinging at the hips. The more you walk your hands forward, the deeper you're going to feel that stretch. So take your time. We are going to move and flow later, but for now, take your time to open the hip. There's no rush. Just think about getting into it a little deeper as you exhale. If you're feeling pain or discomfort at all, then you can back out a little bit. Let's take one more round of breath. And then slowly come out. Now, as you come out, before we do this on the other side, lift that right knee, bring the sole of your right foot onto the mat. Take your right hand behind you. As you inhale, lift the left fingers, and as you exhale, twist over to the right. Spinal twist. Look past your right shoulder and breathe. Explore 2 more rounds of breath. And on your next exhale, gently unwind. Back to center. Lift that right foot, reach your hands forward. Connect the hands. So come back into this modified tabletop. Now from here, we'll simply take the right knee behind the left. So we're going to do the same thing, but on the other side. First, set it up by opening the feet. Make sure the feet are off the edges of the mat so you're not sitting on your feet when you come back. And then in your time, when you're ready, slowly walk your hands towards your body and bring your seat onto the mat or onto a prop. Now, because this side might be different, the propping might be different. Give yourself time to set it up. Decide if it's enough for you to be in this upright position, or start to walk the hands forward. Noticing that as you lower down, the stretch is deepening. Really letting congestion and tension go from the hip area. Coming back to that breath awareness. Practicing full lung capacity breathing. Inhale all the way to the top of the breath. Exhale, release, let it go. Couple more rounds. Relax the head, relax the neck. And inhale, lift the head. Exhale, walk the hands towards the body. Lift the left knee. Rotate the left foot so the sole of the foot is on the mat. Bring the left hand behind the hip. As you inhale, reach the right fingers up and then bring the right elbow to the thigh. Twist to the left. Look past your shoulder, hold and breathe here. If you feel any cracking or popping in your spine at any point, it's okay. Just giving yourself an adjustment, no worries. And now on your next exhale, rotate your torso back to center. Lift that left foot off the mat, restack the knee, reach the hands forward, and then unwind the legs. Now from here, open the knees wide, bring the knees to the edges of the mat, bring the big toes together, sit back, come into child's pose. Reach the arms forward, lower the forehead towards the mat. Really giving yourself a chance to settle in. Pausing in child's pose, inhale, feeling the belly expand. Exhale, feel the belly soften. Continue to lengthen the breath. And really enjoy this pause, because from here we're gonna fire things up a little more. So enjoy a couple more rounds of breath. Remember this shape. You can come back into it anytime you need to. From child's pose, lift the hips, shift forward towards tabletop, and then from tabletop, set yourself up for downward facing dog. Inhale all the way to the top of the breath. Exhale, let it go. Slowly walk your feet to the top of the mat, bringing your feet towards your hands. Inhale, take a half lift. Maybe straightening the legs a little more, feeling into the hamstrings. And then exhale, fold. Bend the knees, slowly roll up to a standing position. And once you're in the standing position, take a micro bend in the knees. Pull the belly button towards the spine. Inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, take the shoulders back and down. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Exhale, take the shoulders back and down. And again, one more time. Flutter the eyes open, come back into the space. Continuing our hip opening theme, we're gonna take 2 standing balances. So, if you have been feeling a little wobbly with your balance lately, or have been having vertigo or something like that, it's gonna be beneficial for you to come over to a wall space. So all you really need is enough space for one hand for the first one, and then 2 hands for the second one. So I'll show you in the free space. The first standing balance we're gonna come into is a standing balance with a hip opener that's a little more gentle to prepare us for the second standing balance, which is a deeper hip opener. So the first one is tree pose. So as you come into tree pose, bring your hands to your hips, lift the toes of one foot and then set the toes down. Doesn't matter where you start because we're gonna come into both sides. Now the opposite leg, lift the heel and slide your toes right up against your grounded foot. So this is our first option. This is gonna be the easiest option in our tree pose. You can go a little bit further by lifting your toes off the mat and bringing the arch of your foot to your calf muscle. So really important, make sure that you're not putting your foot on your knee. Now, this is where we might need the wall space, because if you're feeling wobbly, it's gonna serve you to bring your hand to the wall for support. Now, if you're in option 2 and you feel like you can go even deeper, you're gonna take your hand of the same side of the bent knee, reach your hand, bend to make the connection, lift your foot, connect your hand to your ankle, and then press the sole of your foot to your inner thigh. This is option 3. Now, your knee is open out to the side. So we're getting external rotation for the hip. Now, while you're here, you'll notice your standing foot working really hard to keep your whole body up. So remember, come to the wall space if you need to. If you're fine in the free space, you might bring your hands to your heart center. You might fly the arms up. If you're totally comfortable in option 3 with your arms up, you can challenge yourself even more by closing your eyes. Noticing when you close your eyes how this totally changes your practice. If you fall out of a posture, it's not a big deal. You can come back into it. It's just a pose. It's a practice. Each day is different. If the eyes are closed, go ahead and open them. Slowly bring the hands down. Then take the hands to the hips. Disconnect the lifted foot. Inhale, bring the knee forward. Exhale, take the foot down. Now, that foot that was your foundational foot might feel like there's some cramping at the arch. So let's just lift the heel and then take the heel in circles. And as you take the heel in circles, just feel that tension go and then circle around opposite direction. So while we're letting that tension go, we're getting a nice stretch at the toes and getting mobility in the hip. And then we'll send the heel down. So we'll prepare to do all that now on the other side. So the foot that's now going to be your foundational foot, just lift the toes and then press the toes back onto the mat one at a time. This is your foundational foot. The opposite heel lifts and then slide the toes over to your foot. Option 1, stay here. If this is comfortable for you, especially if this is the first time that you're doing tree pose, this is a really great place to start. If you want to go deeper, taking it further, you can lift the toes off the mat, bring the arch of the foot to the calf muscle. Just pause and notice how this feels on this side. This is a totally different side. You might be good here. You might bring your hand to the wall space for support. Take whatever you need to support yourself in this shape. Now, for those of you that are ready to go even further, reach your hand of the same side as your bent knee, lean forward and lift the foot to connect the hand to the ankle. Then guide the sole of your foot to your inner thigh. Press your foot and your thigh together to help you with your stability. Keep your hands on your hips, or you can bring your hands to prayer position. Breathe. Decide if you want to lift those arms up. Decide if you want to close your eyes. Feel the standing foot working. Find your breath. Remember, if you wobble out, it's no big deal. You can always come right back into it. Don't worry. Just explore. Notice how your body feels. If your eyes are closed, open them. If your arms are lifted, bring the hands down. Take the hands to the hips. On your next inhale, disconnect the foot, lift the knee. Exhale, take that foot down. As that foot grounds down, lift the heel of the standing foot and then draw circles with the knee, just stretching out the bottom of that foot. And then circle around opposite direction. And then we'll place the foot down. So remember at the start of our practice, we did our reclined figure 4. We're gonna do that now standing, and that's gonna be our deeper hip opener and combination with a standing balance. So this is where you might want to bring both hands to the wall. And you wanna think about positioning the hands in line with the shoulders. So if you're using the wall space, it's gonna look like this to start, or you don't have to use the wall space. If you're at the wall or in the free space, first just start off by looking at your feet. Position your feet to hip distance. So find the bony bits at the front of the hips, and you want your feet in alignment with that. When you look down to your feet, there should be enough space for one more foot of yours to fit between. Hands to the hips. Now shift weight to one foot, pick up the other foot, bend the knee, and then send the knee out. Bring your ankle to your thigh. Reach your arms forward and sit back. So if you're at the wall, your hands are going to be at the wall supporting you, and your hands can walk down the wall. Now, alternatively, if you're somewhere in between the free space and the wall, you can use your blocks for support by taking your hands to your blocks. So if you've got blocks and you want to try this, go for it. Just know that it's important that your standing knee doesn't go past your standing toes. The more you sit back, the more you're going to intensify the stretch at that right hip. Give yourself time here. Some of you might even be able to lower your fingertips or your palms all the way down to the mat. My right hip is pretty tight today, so it's more comfortable for me to keep my fingertips rather than my palms. Maybe it's more comfortable for you to get a higher lift and be on the blocks. Take care of your body. Find what it needs. Stay here for 2 more rounds of breath. Don't forget to breathe. Breathing is a really important part of the practice. All right, when you're ready to come out, press into that standing foot, release, and send it down. Take a round of breath here. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. All right, so you know what's coming up. We're gonna do that on the other side. We wanna balance out the sides, set it up, decide if you wanna be in the free space, or if you wanna be at the wall, or if you need your blocks for support. Opposite side, grounding down, lifting the knee, rotating the knee out, and then bringing the ankle to the thigh. Sit back, reach the arms forward. Remember, you don't want the knee going past the toes on the standing foot. If you feel wobbly or unsafe at all, then come over to the wall space. Use the wall for support. If the wall is too easy for you, then come on to the blocks. Standing figure 4. Sit deeper, hold and breathe. Happy, happy hips. Got a few rounds of breath here. Find where you need to be. One more round of breath. And slowly come out when you're ready. If you were working with the blocks, just remove them off the mat. Give yourself a little space. Open the feet wide. So we want to just open the feet wider than the hips. We're going to take some hip circles to just get rid of any tension we might have created from our longer held standing, balance, hip opening postures. So the hands come to the hips, and we'll just take the hips over to the left, take the hips forward to the right, and then take the hips back. Just draw circles with the hips. Circle around opposite direction. Let the circles be as big or as small as you'd like or as you need. You might find some cracking and popping in the hips. It's okay, don't worry. And then we'll bring the hips to center. So while we're here, let's give our lower body a break and let's take a stretch in our upper body in the shoulders. So feet are wide. You might even open them wider as long as you feel like you're in control of your feet on the mat with your legs straight. Then this is good. You just don't want to feel like your legs are going to split apart. So feel like you're in control of this wide-legged stance. Then take your hands to your hips. Inhale, open your heart, bring your elbows back. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. As you fold forward, take your hands from your hips down to the mat. Lower the head, facing down to the mat. Press to the pinky edges of the feet. Feel a nice stretch at the ankles. Now it's your choice if you want to pause here. If you have an advanced practice, this is a nice opportunity to come into headstand. If you want to go for that shoulder stretch, lift your hands, bring them behind your low back, interlace your fingers, press your palms together, and then on an inhale breath, lift your fist up. Now you'll know when you've lifted them enough. The shoulders are going to tell you. Feel into the stretch. Feel stability in the legs. Feel a nice stretch at the hamstrings. Breathe. Let the head go. There's no need to hold it up. Start to slowly bring the fists down to the low back. Release the hands. Let the arms dangle. Inhale for a half lift. And then exhale, fold. Full round of breath here. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, let it go. Take your hands to your hips. Inhale, lift the crown of the head up. Standing position. From here, heel toe the feet closer together, bit by bit. And once the feet are back into that hip distance, you can come to the top of your mat. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, half lift. Now look at your feet. As you exhale and fold, heel toe the feet open wider so the toes come off the edges of the mat, heels are in. Bend the knees deeply, sit back. We're coming into Malasana, yogic squat. If this is uncomfortable, don't worry. You can sit on your block or blocks or another prop. The important thing in this squat is if your heels are not touching the mat, then you've got some limited ankle mobility, and I'm going to show you how to help that. So just take the top of the mat, roll it, and then bring your heels onto the mat. And that's going to feel better for you. So once you've got your legs positioned, take the elbows to the inner knees. Bring the thumbs towards the heart center. Let the hips open and let the low back release. As you inhale, shift weight into the toes. And as you exhale, shift weight into the heels. Couple more rounds. Deep hip opening. This is called Malasana, yogic squat. We're preparing to come out of it. So we'll release the hands, bring them to the mat, bring your seat to the mat. If you rolled up your mat, just simply unroll it and come onto your back. As you come onto your back, let your knees bend, soles of the feet to the mat. Bring your hands to your belly. Take a moment to reconnect with your breath. With your palms resting on the belly, as you inhale, feel the belly pressing to the palms. And as you exhale, feel the belly soften. Take 2 more rounds. Feel the movement of the belly with the breath. And from here, we'll continue with our hip opening, coming into happy baby. Lift the feet off the mat. The knees are bent deeply and the knees are open as wide as you can open them. So first, just open the knees as wide as they'll go, and then rotate the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. So it looks like your feet are walking on the ceiling. Take your hands to the back of your knees to start. Feel that tailbone pressing down to the mat. And then reach your hands to your ankles. Now, if you can reach your hands to your ankles with your arms inside your knees and your tailbone still on the mat, then maybe you try taking your hands to the pinky edges of the feet. If the tailbone lifts off the mat, then take your hands back to your ankles. So whatever option you choose, we want to make sure that the tailbone is grounded. Now, there is another option where you can take your peace fingers, your index fingers and middle fingers to hook onto your big toes. That might be more comfortable. So the knees are bent, and as you're pulling the feet down with your hands, the feet are pressing up, causing resistance. You can take the option of staying still, or you can gently rock from side to side. As you rock from side to side, you'll feel a really great massage in the back. If you're open to exploring even deeper, you can straighten one leg. It's okay if the leg doesn't go all the way straight, but if the leg does straighten, you'll feel a really nice deep stretch at the inner thigh. Give yourself time to feel into that side. And then switch it up on the other side. Straightening opposite leg. Breathing through it for a couple rounds of breath. And then maybe you explore opening both legs at the same time. Bend the knees. Release your hands. Take your hands to your shins. Keep the knees wide. Now we're drawing circles with the knees. We'll start by bringing the knees towards each other and then circling them away. Bring them back together, circle them away. Continue to move like this. And then we'll switch it up opposite direction. Bringing the knees together, circling them apart. Notice how fast or slow your body wants to move. And the next time the knees come together, keep them together. Keep the hands at the shins. Now draw clockwise circles with both knees moving in the clockwise direction. Feel into the low back. And then circle the knees around opposite direction, counterclockwise. Bring the knees to center. Lower the feet down. Soles of the feet meet the mat. Let the arms come out to the sides. Inhale deeply. Exhale, let it go. Extend the legs so the legs are straight on the mat. And just take a few moments to notice the sensation in the legs. From the hips down to the feet. Relax the entire body down.